CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I found Ozzy Osbourne tickets on the dark web the day after his death. On his concert, he tried to prove that that was his clone who died, not him. Before I start first, I want to say R.I.P. to Ozzy. Legends never die, but after this story, I don't know what to believe anymore. If you've got 10 minutes, just listen. It still freaks me out even thinking about it, and trust me, I'm not the kind of guy who scares easy. This all started in July 2025. I was in my room, scrolling through Instagram, and saw the news everywhere. Ozzy Osbourne was dead. TMZ posted it. Rolling Stone confirmed it. Twitter was losing its mind. People were dropping tributes left and right. I mean, the dude was 76 and had health issues for years, but it still hit hard. Like Ozzy was immortal in the rock world. It didn't feel real. I'm a massive Ozzy fan, by the way. Grew up with my dad blasting Crazy Train every Sunday, cleaning the garage. We even had that old MTV, the Osbournes DVD box, set for no reason other than nostalgia. Anyway, the next day, I'm bored out of my mind, watching YouTube, and I fall down one of those weird rabbit holes about the dark web. You know the kind. Clickbait titles like, "This disturbing site hides a sinister truth," or "I ordered a mystery box from the deep web and regretted it." Classic algorithm bait. I'd seen them all before, but this one guy, I think his channel was called Digital Ghosts or something, he made it sound different. Like less fake, more low-key disturbing. So I got curious. I'd never actually been on the dark web before. I mean, I'm no hacker or anything, but I've taken enough computer science in college to know how Tor works. I downloaded it, set it up, used a VPN, all the usual don't get caught stuff. And yeah, it's every bit as sketchy as you'd think. There's marketplaces, forums, hitman for hire pages, which I assume are fake, but who knows? And weird live stream links that say stuff like, tune in at 3 a.m. with creepy thumbnails of mannequins wearing gas masks. It was all very Five Nights at Freddy's, but real life. But here's where it gets weird. I stumbled onto this forum called Dead Note. Not like the anime. It looked like an underground memorial site, but instead of actual memorials, people were selling stuff related to celebrities after they died. Like, someone was selling an alleged lock of Robin Williams' hair in a vacuum-sealed bag, no thanks. And another listing claimed to be a screenshot of Bob Saget's final text messages. Super messed up. Then I saw it. 2X Ozzy Osbourne Resurrection Tour tickets. Secret show. Verified. I clicked. It had 0 upvotes, no comments. The post was just a black background with red text. He isn't dead. He never died. Come see the truth for yourself. London, August 9th. One night only. This is not a hoax. Now look, I knew it was BS. I mean, the guy had literally died yesterday, and here someone was claiming there was a secret show. Nah. But something about the post just felt off, like it wasn't trying to go viral. It felt personal, intentional. There was a buy now button, but instead of dollars, it showed the price in Monero. Super shady, but also kinda compelling. So, I did something really stupid. I bought them. I already had some Monero from a sketchy crypto phase I went through last year, and the tickets were only like 0.35 XMR, maybe $50. I figured worst case, I get scammed. Best case, I get some weird souvenir out of it. Either way, it was just curiosity. 2 hours later, my Proton Mail inbox pinged. Thank you for purchasing. Your tickets have been attached. Welcome to the truth. Attached to the email were 2 QR codes, no instructions, just the date, August 9th, 2025, and the location, the Screaming Goat Theatre, London. That's not a real venue. I googled it. Nothing. Except, I did find one old Reddit thread from 2013 in r/glitch in the Matrix, where someone posted, saw a weird neon sign on an alley in Camden town that said the Screaming Goat. Looked abandoned, but I swear I heard music coming from inside. Can't find it on Google Maps. No replies. Thread was locked. By now, I was fully in. I'm not rich or anything, but I had vacation time saved up, and a cousin in London who owed me a favor, so I told him I was coming to visit. Didn't mention Ozzy. Didn't mention the dark web. Just told him I wanted to explore the city a bit. The week before the flight, things started getting strange. Spotify started glitching out. Every time I played an Ozzy song, it would skip halfway through and go completely silent. Not to the next track, just silence, even if I downloaded it. On TikTok, I got an ad that said, "You're invited." Just a plain black screen with August 9th, 2025 in white text and a faint guitar riff playing in the background. Ozzy's riff. I screenshotted it, but when I looked in my photos later, it wasn't there. Things got weirder. 3 days before the trip, I got a letter in the mail. Like actual mail. No stamp. No return address. Just slid under my apartment door, I guess. Inside was a photo of Ozzy from the 1980s, black and white, with his eyes scratched out in red ink. On the back, it just said, "That wasn't me." That night, I couldn't sleep. My cat started hissing at the hallway for no reason, and my bathroom light kept flickering, even though I'd just changed the bulb. Then, around 3:12 a.m., I got a phone call. No caller ID. I let it ring, but it went to voicemail. The message was 6 seconds of static. Then a raspy voice whispered, "Don't let them silence the real one." I booked my flight the next morning, not because I wasn't scared, but because I needed to know. What the hell did I just get myself into? Was this an elaborate prank? A viral marketing stunt? A scam with amazing production value? Or was Ozzy Osbourne really not dead? I landed in London on August 7th, 2025. The weather was that kind of grey you always picture when you think of England, sky hanging low like it's watching you. My cousin picked me up from Heathrow, all smiles and small talk. He had no idea I was spiraling into what felt like a scripted nightmare. I didn't tell him anything. How do you explain I bought Ozzy Osbourne tickets on the dark web after his death, and now reality feels like it's glitching to someone who works retail and thinks conspiracy theories are for YouTube basement dwellers? The first night in his flat, I didn't sleep. His bathroom mirror fogged up around midnight, even though no one had used the shower. I swear I saw handprints on the inside. Not normal handprints. tiny skeletal fingers, 5 on each side of the mirror, like something was peeking through from the other side. But that wasn't even the start of the horror. The second night, August 8th, the night before the concert, I decided to scout out the venue, the Screaming Goat Theater. I still couldn't find anything online, so I went old school and just walked around Camden Town, hoping to spot something off. And I did. Around 1:20 a.m., after hours of aimless wandering, I saw it. A narrow alleyway behind a boarded-up McDonald's on Parkway Street. Between 2 dumpsters, there was a neon sign, flickering red, shaped like a goat's skull. The words, "The Screaming Goat," blinked in that broken neon rhythm that doesn't feel right to your eyes. The air near the alley was ice cold. You know that kind of cold that feels thick, like it shouldn't exist in summer. That's what this was. I didn't go in. Not yet. Instead, I went back to my cousin's flat, stared at the tickets on my phone, and waited for night to come again. August 9th, 11:47 p.m. I got dressed in all black, hoodie, jeans, sneakers, feeling like I was walking into a crime scene, not a concert. I didn't bring my phone, just printed the QR code and folded it in my wallet. The city was dead silent. No cars, no late-night drunks. Even the sky looked wrong. Too black, no stars, like someone had erased the universe and forgot to add the details back in. I walked back to the alley behind McDonald's. The neon goat was still there, glowing like it was alive. Underneath the sign now was a man, or I thought it was a man. He was hunched, wearing a full black suit, white gloves, and a porcelain mask shaped like a lamb's face, just standing there, like a wax figure left out in the cold. When I held up my QR code, he didn't say a word, just stepped aside and pointed to a metal door with no handle. As I approached it, the door hissed open on its own. Inside was pitch black and a staircase leading down, not sideways, straight down. The air got warmer the further I descended, like I was walking into the mouth of something alive. The walls were concrete, but moist, like an old meat freezer. The only light came from dim red bulbs hanging by exposed wires, flickering like dying candles. At the bottom was a long hallway, with doors on each side, each one labeled with weird titles like The Unborn Choir, Feeding Room, He Was Never Real, Clones Only. I didn't stop. I didn't want to stop. Eventually, the hallway opened up into a massive underground theater, not like a concert hall, more like an ancient cathedral that had been melted and stitched together with rust and meat. The seats were rotting pews, rows of them lined in black mold and covered in what looked like dried blood. And the stage, God, the stage. It was shaped like a giant cross, but upside down. In the center, hanging from wires, was a massive humanoid figure, suspended like a puppet. It looked like Ozzy Osbourne, but older and more corpse-like. He was naked from the waist up, skin gray, veins bulging, mouth open in a frozen scream. Wires were connected to his arms, legs, jaw, even his eyelids. I sat down. I don't know why. Maybe I was in shock. Maybe something was keeping me there. Around me, people started entering, all silent, all in black. No phones, no talking, no breathing sounds. They sat like shadows, hundreds of them, and every single one had a laminated tag around their necks with names I recognized: Marilyn Manson, Chester Bennington, Tupac Shakur, Avicii, Michael Jackson. These weren't attendees. These were names of the dead. A low hum filled the room. Then the puppet on stage twitched. A screen behind the stage flickered on. Static. Then it showed a morgue table. On it lay a body, Ozzy's body, the one the media had shown, pale, lifeless, unmistakable. The video zoomed in. Someone off-screen whispered, "That is not the Prince of Darkness. That was the clone. The vessel expired. The soul remains." The puppet on stage suddenly screamed, and it wasn't just sound. It was like the room itself vibrated with his scream. Blood burst from the puppet's mouth like a geyser, splashing onto the first row. No one flinched. Then the puppet stood up, jerkily, like a marionette, waking from death. But the wires weren't being pulled from above. They were being pulled from below the stage, like something underneath was controlling him. Ozzy, or whatever it was, spoke. "I never died. They tried to kill the image, not the man. But I live. I live in the cracks, the glitches, the spaces between your data." His eyes rolled back, his jaw unhinged. I heard a sound, like a million flies buzzing in reverse. And suddenly, every screen in the theater lit up. It showed the real concert. Clips of Ozzy playing on stage, but in a place that didn't exist. It looked like a warehouse, floating in black space, audience made of figures with blurred faces, all clapping off rhythm. Then the images glitched. The audience was dead. Burned bodies, melting faces, clapping with bones. One of them turned toward the camera and grinned. Its mouth stretched too wide, revealing rows and rows of baby teeth. Then I looked back at the stage. Ozzy was walking toward me. No more wires. His eyes were leaking ink. His mouth twitched like he was trying to laugh and scream at the same time. I couldn't move. My body was frozen. I wanted to scream, but my tongue was gone. I reached up to feel it, and there was just blood pouring out of my mouth. He leaned down and whispered into my ear, "You've seen too much. Now you're part of the set list." Then I woke up in my cousin's flat on the bathroom floor, soaked in sweat, mouth full of blood, and a deep cut across my cheek. I still don't know how I got there. My cousin was at work. No one had broken in. The only thing out of place was a single concert wristband on my arm. Red plastic, no text, just one word scratched into it with what looked like a fingernail. Encore. Because after this night, the story doesn't stop. It gets worse. I haven't even told you about the man outside my window who hasn't blinked in 2 days. I didn't sleep after that. I didn't eat. I didn't even speak to my cousin. Every time he looked at me, it felt like he was trying to figure out what part of me wasn't me anymore. Like he knew something wasn't right, but couldn't put his finger on it. My mouth healed faster than it should have. The blood dried too fast, and the cut sealed shut by noon that same day. But the pain was still there, deep in my jaw, like something had been inserted, not removed. The wristband wouldn't come off. I tried soap, scissors, even burned it with a lighter. Nothing. It wasn't plastic anymore. It felt like skin, but not mine, like it was stitched into my flesh. And the word on it, encore, it started changing. Every hour, the letters warped just a little. Encore, encore, ENCLONE. That night, I tried to leave. I booked an Uber to Heathrow. Didn't pack. I just grabbed my passport and ran. The second I got into the Uber, the driver turned around and handed me a phone. Not mine. Old Nokia brick style. Screen already lit up with one message. Flight cancelled. Curtain hasn't dropped. I dropped the phone and jumped out of the car before it moved. The driver didn't even blink. He just smiled. His teeth were all the same size, like piano keys. When I looked back at the car as it pulled away, the license plate read S3TL1ST. I went back to the flat. I didn't know where else to go. My cousin wasn't home. Door was unlocked, even though I remembered locking it. Inside, everything was off. Not just the lights. Everything. Furniture was turned around. The fridge was on its side. My cousin's bedroom was completely empty, like it had been gutted and erased. No mattress, no sheets, just a massive handprint on the wall in what looked like ash. There was one thing left, a black envelope taped to the TV. Inside was a VHS tape, no label, just black tape with a red O drawn in Sharpie. There was no VHS player in the apartment, but when I walked into the kitchen, one had appeared on the counter. I didn't question it. I plugged it in. The TV turned on by itself. The video was grainy, silent, just a single static shot of me, asleep in the bathtub the night after the concert. I watched myself twitch, mumble, then suddenly sit up. My eyes in the tape opened, but they weren't my eyes. They were pitch black, oozing ink. Then I started talking, but not to the camera, to someone behind it. He doesn't know yet. The audience isn't ready, but they'll watch. They always watch. Blood cells. Then I leaned forward in the tape until my face filled the screen and whispered, "Play your part, clone. It's almost time." The screen cut to black. Then the screaming started. I didn't sleep for the next 3 days. Not because I didn't want to, because I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd hear the same thing. Clapping. Offbeat. Mechanical clapping. Like a glitching audience track from a haunted sitcom. It would echo in my skull. Sometimes it was slow and sarcastic. Other times, frantic, like they were cheering for blood. And always, it ended with Ozzy's voice, whispering one word. Again. I started noticing other things too. My phone camera stopped working. Every time I opened it, the screen showed a dark room I wasn't in, filled with mirrors. In one of them, I could see myself, but older, thinner, rotting, and smiling. Instagram kept pushing me videos I didn't follow. Strange, silent clips of Ozzy in unknown locations, eating raw meat, whispering to what looked like mannequins dressed in fan merch. One showed him standing in a Starbucks, but not any Starbucks. It was the one down the street. You could see the same broken menu board I passed every day. And in the background of the video, I was there, sitting alone, just behind Ozzy, scrolling my phone. But I have no memory of ever being there. My TikTok For You page became nothing but black screen videos, all with one sound. I am still here. Over and over. Different accounts. No profile pics. Each had thousands of likes. But when I click them, account doesn't exist. My Spotify updated with a new playlist. I didn't make it. I couldn't delete it. The name was The Setlist. Songs included Symphony of Clones, Encore, Live Forever Cut, You Were Never Real, 13, Track 666, Hidden. When I hit play, it played nothing, just silence. But my nose started bleeding every time I tried. On the fourth night, the man appeared. I looked out the window of the flat around 2:30 a.m., and there he was, standing in the alley, looking straight at me. I live on the 3rd floor. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. He was wearing a tour t-shirt, Ozzy's 1986 Ultimate Sin tour, and no pants, just standing there, barefoot in the pouring rain. His mouth was wide open, like he was screaming, but no sound came out. And his eyes, God, his eyes looked like old TV screens filled with static. I blinked, and he was gone. Next morning, I found my cousin's phone on the front steps. Locked. Battery at 1%. One new photo on the home screen. Me, asleep in bed, last night. Behind me, standing over my body, was the man from the alley. By now, I couldn't tell what was real anymore. I started coughing up black feathers. My fingernails were splitting horizontally. My shadow stopped syncing with my movements. I'd turn left, and it would pause, then follow a second later. Sometimes it would move before I did. I went to a hospital, told them I was having a breakdown. They did blood work, scans, everything. Doctor came back pale as death. Your body isn't rejecting something, it's building something. I don't know what, but your cells aren't human anymore. They kept me overnight. At 3:33 a.m., the power went out. When it came back on, my room was empty. No nurses, no patients, just me and Ozzy, sitting at the foot of my hospital bed, wearing the same outfit he wore on MTV in 2002. Sunglasses, leather jacket, black nail polish. He looked at me and grinned. His teeth were too long, like shark teeth. He said one thing, "Let's rehearse." Then everything went black. I woke up at home again. Same wristband, now fully changed. It didn't say encore anymore. It said open an act. And in my closet, hanging on a hanger made of bones, was an exact replica of Ozzy's outfit from the No More Tears tour, covered in blood. Not his. I'm not okay. And I don't think I ever will be. Because I think I'm not me anymore. I think I was never meant to survive the show. And I think the real concert hasn't even started yet. I should have known the closet wasn't just a closet. When I touched the leather jacket, I felt skin. Not the cool, synthetic kind you get from thrift stores. I mean living, breathing, twitching skin. I swear I felt it shiver under my fingers. The blood wasn't dry either. It was warm, wet, fresh, not red, black. The kind of black that looks purple under the wrong light. It had a smell too. Not iron, not rot. Memory. It smelled like a place I'd never been, but somehow missed. When I pulled the jacket off the hanger of bones, the closet behind it deepened. The drywall cracked outward like something had just inhaled from the other side. My closet stretched, warped, became a tunnel, a hallway of mouths, each one silently screaming from the wood. I should have walked away, but I didn't, because I wasn't me anymore. I was the opening act. I don't remember walking through the tunnel. I remember the taste of it, like chewing on burnt teeth. Each step echoed, but not like footsteps, more like a laugh track in reverse. The walls whispered lyrics I couldn't understand, in a language made of rasps and wheezes. There were photographs nailed into the wood every few feet, black and white stills from concerts that never happened. You could see Ozzy in all of them, mid-performance, his face blurred, crowd frozen like mannequins melting under stadium lights. But in every photo, there was always one person staring at the camera. It was me. Even in the photos from the 80s, the tunnel led to a dressing room. I know it sounds cliché, but it wasn't like any dressing room on Earth. This one was built out of TVs. Hundreds of old box monitors stacked floor to ceiling, forming the walls. Every single one played static footage of me, from every angle of my life. Sleeping, showering, crying, laughing. One screen showed me as a child, drawing on my bedroom wall. Another showed me, 2 days ago, standing in line at a pray-a-manger, blinking too slowly. One screen, dead center, showed me sitting in that very room, watching myself through the monitors, in a loop that never ended. The lights above me were made of hanging eyeballs. They twitched when I moved. A voice came from the monitor. Tuning complete, flesh calibrated, consciousness ready. Performance begins in 10. I looked into the mirror. It wasn't a reflection, it was a window, and staring back through it was something wearing my skin like a mask, but too tight. The eyes were Ozzy's. The mouth twitched in threes. It didn't breathe. It pulsed. "You're not the audience anymore," it whispered. "You're the ritual." There was a knock at the door. 3 short knocks, then 3 long ones, then 1 soft tap, like a nail. I didn't open it. It opened for me. Outside was the backstage area, but it wasn't empty. It was full. Full of others like me. Dozens, maybe hundreds, of opening acts, all wearing different artist outfits from different eras. I saw one guy in full Freddie Mercury gear, but his skin was peeled halfway off like a banana. His face smiled, even though he had no lips. He hummed something low and vibrating. I saw a girl in Kurt Cobain's flannel. Only her mouth was sewn shut with guitar strings, and her eyes were bleeding sheet music. Another was in full Taylor Swift outfit, but the dress was made entirely of human hair. They all turned and looked at me, and clapped like they'd been waiting. "He's ready," someone rasped from the ceiling. That's when I saw him again. Ozzy. But this wasn't the version from the Screaming Goat Theater. This wasn't the puppet. This wasn't the corpse clone. This was the original. You could feel it. The pressure in the room shifted when he entered, like reality was bowing to him. His body looked decayed, but powered by something ancient. Not electricity, not blood, something deeper. His skin was stretched so tight over his bones, you could see his lyrics tattooed on his ribs. His eyes were pure snow blindness, white static that shimmered. And he spoke, not with his mouth, with every screen on the wall. "Tonight, the real show begins. Tonight, we finish what was started beneath the Vatican. Tonight, the final verse is written in audience." That's when the other acts began singing. Not songs, not melodies, chants, glitched voices, broken rhythms. It sounded like an orchestra of dying machines, each screaming in tune. My nose bled, my gums peeled. I felt my stomach twist, stretch, and something crawl inside from underneath my ribs. Something that moved like it had always belonged. Ozzy leaned in, inches from my face, and said, "There's only one encore, and it's always paid in flesh." They brought me on stage. Not a stage like before. This one was alive. You could see veins pulsing under the floorboards. The crowd stretched on forever. Not people. Copies. Replicas. Rows and rows of carbon-copied audience members, clapping perfectly in sync. No eyes. Just holes filled with static and dripping sound. In the front row were my parents, but they were younger. Too young. Frozen in their 20s, mouths open, eyes replaced with spinning vinyl records. My mom's arms were crossed in an X, and my dad had a cassette tape jammed into his mouth, like a tongue. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. Then Ozzy handed me a mic. It was warm. It was breathing. The cord ran into the floor like an umbilical, disappearing into the stage flesh. When I took it, I felt everything. Every scream, every cry, every drop of blood spilled for a ticket. Every ritual disguised as a performance. Every fan who had died in their sleep after listening to No More Tears on repeat. Every festival that never happened because the artist wasn't allowed to wake up yet. Ozzy stepped back. "Play it before they play you." The music started. I didn't choose the song. The song chose me. It played in reverse. Sound that moved like fluid down a drain. I screamed the first note, and the audience cheered. As I sang, my fingers split open and strings pulled out of them, attaching me to the mic stand, the floor, the lights. My body became part of the set. My bones tuned themselves. My heart beat in 4/4 timing. Then the crowd began to change. They stood up, and each one removed their face. Underneath were more versions of me, all smiling, all clapping, all chanting, "Encore, encore, encore." When the song ended, I collapsed, but I didn't fall on the stage. I fell through it, and I kept falling for what felt like days, through layers of rotted music, sound waves frozen into bone, through memories that weren't mine, screams I had never screamed, dreams I had never dreamt, until I landed right back in my apartment, on the floor, in front of the closet, the jacket gone, no wound, no microphone, no blood, except for the mirror. The mirror was cracked, and behind the cracks I saw a face, not mine, Ozzy's, smiling, mouthing 2 words over and over again. Finale soon. Once I tell you what happened on the flight home, you'll understand. There's no off button on this concert, only silence, and that comes after the scream. I wasn't supposed to come back. When I opened my eyes in my apartment, flat on the hardwood floor, face blood stuck to the wood, like meat left on a cutting board, I could feel it in my spine, in my teeth, in my fingernails, which had grown in reverse overnight. I left something behind, and something followed. The mirror that once sat above my dresser had fractured like a spider's web, but only on the inside. I could run my fingers across it and not feel a single chip. But in the reflection, I was gone, not just missing, replaced by him. Ozzy, but not the Ozzy from TV, not the Ozzy from albums, not even the corpse puppet from the Screaming Goat Theater. This was the true version, no longer flesh, no longer human, just a presence stitched into the cracks of my reality. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. Just feedback. That high-pitched microphone whine you get when someone's too close to the speaker. Only now it was coming from inside my lungs. My ears bled like someone was pushing glass into them through headphones. There were symbols scratched into my ceiling. New ones. Not there before. 8 of them. Each one an eye, drawn with teeth instead of lashes, and in the middle of each, the word setlist, written in a font I've only ever seen in nightmares. The flight home wasn't real. I mean, I got on a plane. I sat next to a woman eating airport sushi with her hands. A man in a denim jacket was watching reruns of Family Guy, but every 10 seconds, the screen would glitch, and Stewie would look directly at me and mouth the word, blood. I opened the in-flight menu. It didn't list food. It listed songs. Track 1, the passenger becomes the pilot. Track 2, do not unbuckle. Track 3, you're already falling. Track 4, turbulence is ritual. Track 5, we lost him at 37,000 feet. Live. The flight attendant walked down the aisle, but she wasn't handing out drinks. She was collecting fingernails. People calmly peeled theirs off and dropped them into a plastic lunchbox labeled merch. She got to me. I didn't move. She bent down, whispering into my ear in Ozzy's voice. You sang. Now you pay. The encore is never free. My seatbelt cinched itself shut, tighter, tighter, until my ribs creaked like old wood. The plane dipped, lights flickered, no one else noticed, and then the windows disappeared, gone, just black, like we were flying through a closed eyelid. I woke up again in my bed, or something that looked like my bed, but nothing was where it should be. My walls were bleeding lyrics, not metaphorically, real blood, running down the drywall in lines of songs I'd never written, some in English, some in binary, some in pure symbols, shapes that hurt to look at. My laptop turned on by itself. There was a live stream playing, a stage, an empty microphone. Caption, the final verse, live now. I watched, breath shallow. At the 10-minute mark, someone stepped on stage. Me, but not me now. Me from 3 years ago. Hair longer, clothes I'd thrown out. That chipped tooth I got in college. He picked up the mic and started to scream a song I'd never heard, but somehow knew all the words too. As he sang, the crowd, all versions of me, began tearing each other apart, skin ripping like gift wrap, bones pulled like strings from a broken violin. Every scream synced perfectly to the beat. Then the camera zoomed in on stage. My past self was melting. His skin ran down like candle wax, revealing something underneath. It wasn't muscle. It was film stock. Old rotten film reels. Footage of every lie I've ever told. Every moment I faked a smile. Every time I hit like without meaning it. Every social media post I filtered to hide the rot. All projected on the walls of the stage. I blacked out again. When I came to, I was in a hotel bathroom I didn't recognize. The mirror was shattered. The tub was filled with hair. Not mine. Still warm. The floor was covered in wet set lists, each one with a different version of my name. J, cloned, the first note, Flesh Mike, Osbourne, 2.0, false prophet, feet, me. There was a knock at the door, and behind it, the audience. They weren't clapping anymore. They were chanting, low, rumbling, unified. One more song, one more scream, one more soul, one more theme. Then came the announcement. Over an invisible PA system, like a voice, beamed straight into my skull. This is your final call. Please return to stage. You are now the main act. All previous selves will be retired, permanently. The door burst open. The audience surged in, hundreds of them. Me, from every age, every memory, every timeline that could have happened. Some had no eyes. Some walked backward. Some dragged broken instruments behind them, like limbs. Each one had the word opening carved into their chest, crossed out with barbed wire. And underneath, fresh ink, retired. They didn't speak. They just opened their mouths. And the sound that came out was my own voice, looped and distorted, screaming lyrics I hadn't written yet. I ran, through the halls, through stairwells that grew more stairs the faster I descended, down a hallway that smelled like burnt vinyl and tasted like battery acid. I ran until I was crawling until I was begging. I collapsed in a room made entirely of amps. All of them were humming. Every amp whispered one line, overlapping like waves. The concert was never music. It was possession. I woke up this morning in my real apartment, back in the States. No flights, no record, passport empty. No one remembers Ozzy dying. Not my friends, not my cousin, not the internet. Google lists him as active, tour planned for 2026. But I know what I saw, I know what I sang, and I know what's coming. Every speaker in my house hums when I sleep now. Every silence is filled with whispers. I've pulled 8 teeth in the past week because they started playing music at night. I can still hear it in the molars I buried in the woods. The final verse isn't written in lyrics. It's written in replication. Every person who hears the story becomes a new track. So if you've made it this far, you've already heard it, and now you're part of the tour. Final verse, setlist, opening act, encore, setlist, blood mic, false, finale, the real Ozzy Resurrection Tour. You're next, the crowd once more. And if you hear the clapping tonight, off rhythm, but perfect in its intent, don't look out your window. He's not waving. He's holding a mic. And it has your name on it. I bought steroids from the dark web. I think I have 2 hearts. Alright, so before I get into this, I just want to say, yeah, I know. I know how this sounds. I sound like a complete idiot. And I was an idiot. I was 19, broke, insecure, and addicted to Instagram fitness pages. I spent more time scrolling through gym reels and transformation videos than I did actually working out. You ever see those crazy before and after pics of dudes who look like melted string cheese 1 month and suddenly turn into Greek gods the next? Yeah, that was the dream. I wanted that bad. I live in a small town outside Chicago, Illinois. It's not much. Think strip malls, gas stations, and a suspiciously busy Taco Bell that always smells like wet mop. I'd been working part-time at a Planet Fitness, mainly folding towels and pretending not to cry, when some dude with biceps the size of my head would ask me to spot him. So, needless to say, I was desperate for a shortcut. That's when I stumbled across a subreddit called r/True Enhancement. It had already been banned, but there were mirrors posted on Telegram groups, Discord servers, all that sketchy stuff. It was full of people talking about black market supplements, unlisted chemicals, and stuff that could change your life overnight. The usual comments were like, tried it, worked wonders, side effects, just a little insomnia. Worth it. Got mine in 5 days. Don't take more than 1 drop, or you'll hear colors. My heart rate doubled. Felt like God for 30 minutes. So, obviously, I had to try it. Dumb, I know. A guy named Phantom Musk posted a listing for something called K9X Serum. No branding, just that weird name. He claimed it was genetically tuned, whatever that means, and it would rebuild you from the inside. The listing looked like it was made by someone who learned English from reading Elon Musk tweets and Metal Gear Solid cutscenes. Super cryptic, but the testimonials were insane. So I messaged him. He was chill. Too chill. Like bot level chill. Responded within seconds, even at 3 a.m. He said he could ship a starter vial to me discreetly for $150 in Bitcoin. I don't know why that didn't send up every red flag in the book, but my dumb brain just went, this could be it, bro. I paid. 3 days later, I got a USPS box at my front door. No return address, no label, just my name written in green crayon, which was already weird. Inside, a torn open Honey Nut Cheerios box, and inside that, a tiny glass vial, about the size of my pinky, with a shimmery black liquid inside. No instructions, just a folded up piece of notebook paper that said, 1 drop, empty stomach, do not sleep. I laughed at that last part. Like, bro, what is this? A creepypasta? Who even says, do not sleep in real life? But I did what it said. 1 drop under the tongue, midnight, empty stomach, no food since lunch. I was playing COD with my friend Luke on Discord and figured, hey, if I die, at least he'll hear it in real time. First 10 minutes, nothing. Just a bitter taste and a weird metallic afterburn in the back of my throat. I felt warm, like I had chugged NyQuil, but without the drowsiness. Then the buzzing started. It felt like there was a phone vibrating inside my chest. Not on the surface. Inside. It was faint at first, like a cat purring right behind your sternum. I thought maybe it was anxiety or adrenaline, but it just kept getting louder. My vision blurred for a second, like the lights in my room flickered, But they didn't. Luke was still talking, but his voice started to sound like it was underwater. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears, except there were two distinct pulses, one normal, one offbeat, syncopated, like a second rhythm trying to match the first, but lagging half a second behind. I ran to the mirror. I pulled up my shirt. I swear on everything, I could see the second pulse. Right below my left rib, near my stomach, something was pushing against my skin. Not violently, but like something waking up for the first time. I froze. I couldn't even scream. My mouth went dry. My legs locked up. My dog, Charlie, ran into the room and just started barking at me. Not playfully, not curious, like I was a stranger. That was when I passed out. Not like fainting, more like my brain just hit a switch. Everything just turned off. And when I woke up, it was still dark, but it wasn't the same night. My phone said 7:06 a.m. 3 days later, I had messages from my mom, my sister, Luke, even my Planet Fitness manager. All of them asking if I was okay, why I wasn't answering, why my phone location had turned off for 3 straight days. I had no memory of anything. Nothing felt out of place, except for my heartbeat. Because now it felt like the second one was leading, like I had a new heart, and it was in control. Let me know if y'all want me to keep posting updates. Things get so much worse. I haven't even told you about what happened at the 24-hour McDonald's downtown, or the guy who followed me home wearing my exact face. This was just the beginning. 3 days gone. No food, no water, no memory. Just missing. I wish I could say I woke up in my bed and everything felt normal. I didn't. I woke up on the floor of my garage, half naked, soaked in blood that wasn't mine. There were scratches on the cement, deep ones, like someone had tried to crawl out. My hands were raw and covered in this thick black goo that smelled like burnt plastic and pennies. My skin was dry and cracked, like I'd been in the sun for days. But the garage was pitch black when I opened my eyes. The only light came from a flickering ceiling bulb above me, swinging gently like someone had bumped into it before I came to. I thought I was dreaming. My hearts were pounding so loud it sounded like a war drum in my ears. And then I heard the laughing. It was coming from the corner of the garage, behind the tool rack. Not loud, not even like someone trying to scare me. Just this low, giggly wheeze, like a kid watching cartoons in the dark. I grabbed a wrench off the floor. My body didn't feel like mine. My arms were twitching. My legs were stiff, like I'd been in a freezer. When I took a step, something clicked in my left leg, but I didn't feel pain. I didn't feel anything. The laughing stopped. I edged closer to the sound. What I saw didn't make sense. There was a hole in the garage wall. Not a crack, not a dent. A perfectly round, man-sized hole that led into nothingness, like someone had hollowed out the drywall, removed the insulation, and made a passage to somewhere behind the house that shouldn't exist. It was twitching. The edges of it pulsed, like gums around a tooth. Inside, I could hear something breathing, and then I saw the footprints, bare feet, leading from the hole to where I had woken up, except they didn't match mine. They were longer, narrower, and the toes were wrong. The big toe was off-center, more like a thumb, like the person who walked out of there wasn't built right. I backed out of the garage. I slammed the door. I locked it. I ran to the bathroom to wash my face, and that's when I saw it. Not in the mirror, in the reflection of the mirror. You know when you're not looking directly into it, but you catch the corner of your vision and something seems off? My reflection was standing completely still. I was breathing hard. My chest was rising and falling. But in the mirror, I wasn't moving. I blinked. My reflection didn't. It just stared, with this slight smile, like it knew something I didn't. Then, slowly, it lifted a hand and waved at me. That's when I punched the mirror. It shattered, but the reflection stayed for a second longer, still smiling in the fragments, before disappearing completely. I stayed off my phone the rest of the day. I was scared to check it, scared to see if I'd called someone, texted someone, maybe hurt someone. But when I finally opened it, there were videos in my gallery, 5 of them, all time-stamped from the days I was missing. The first one was just me, standing in the McDonald's parking lot downtown at 2:43 a.m. No audio, just me, staring directly into the camera, not blinking, not smiling, just holding it too still, too perfect. The second video was worse. I was in a Starbucks bathroom, shirtless, staring into the mirror. My mouth was open like I was screaming, but there was no sound. My chest was covered in black veins, like roots growing under my skin, and something inside my stomach moved. I watched it bulge against the skin, like it was trying to claw its way out. The video ended with me slamming my forehead into the mirror, hard, 4 times. But the third one, that one broke me. I was standing in the middle of a park. It looked like Millennium Park, near the Bean. Broad daylight. Families, kids, tourists everywhere. And I was just watching people, not doing anything, just smiling. At first, I thought it was just creepy, until I realized what was wrong. None of them were reacting to me. I was right in the middle of the shot, shirtless, veins black, eyes wide, but not a single person looked my way. It was like I was invisible. No one turned, no one screamed, no one saw me, except for one kid. At the end of the video, a little girl, maybe 6 years old, pointed at me and said something. The camera zoomed in on her mouth. There was no sound, but I could read her lips. He has 2 faces. I checked the last 2 videos. One was corrupted, the other was me, in my room, lying in bed, filming myself sleeping. Only, I wasn't holding the camera. Someone else was. The video was shaky, breathing heavy. It zoomed in on my face, lingered on my chest as it rose and fell. Then the camera lowered, slowly. It pointed at my stomach, and for 2 seconds, you could see something push upward from under the skin, like a handprint, from the inside. I haven't told anyone this in real life. I haven't left my house since. But that night, I got an email from a sender called K9X-live feed. No subject, just a link. I clicked it. It opened a live stream of my bedroom, real time, from the corner of the ceiling, a camera I didn't install. And there I was, sitting on my bed, watching the stream, on the stream, infinite loops, me watching me, watching me. I closed the tab. 30 seconds later, I got a text from an unknown number. Nice shirt. Want to see what your other heart sees? I didn't respond. I tried to turn off my phone. It wouldn't turn off. Instead, the screen flickered and turned into a live feed, this time from somewhere dark, underground, wet. I could hear someone breathing, heavy, ragged, like they were running. Then the camera turned, and I swear to God, I saw myself, shirtless, eyes black, grinning, standing in the shadows, and then it cut to black. I'm telling you all this now because I think I'm not alone in here anymore. When I blink, sometimes it takes a second too long. When I breathe, sometimes I feel two lungs pulling air in. And last night, I saw a notification pop up on my phone from Instagram. Someone tagged me in a story. It was a photo taken from outside my bedroom window. The caption said, "Don't worry, he's not using that body forever." If anyone's heard of K9X serum or knows what happens when you grow a second heart, please, I need answers. Something's already inside, and I think it's learning how to use me. I don't sleep anymore. Not really. I black out. I close my eyes for what feels like seconds, and when I open them again, things have moved. Furniture's off. Food's gone. My fingernails are shorter, and I keep waking up with someone else's blood on my mouth. Not like in the movies. Not a horror movie gore fest. Just a smear. A hint. Like I took a bite of something warm and screaming and wiped it away with the back of my hand. I'm going to try and explain what's been happening, but I don't expect you to believe me. Honestly, if I wasn't living this, I wouldn't believe it either. This isn't your typical internet creep story. This isn't just haunted houses or mirrors or a glitch in a camera. This is about your body turning against you, about watching your own reflection start to do things before you do, about realizing you're not alone inside yourself anymore. It started 3 days after the live stream incident. I was still in my house, still locked in, every window covered. I turned off the electricity in every room except my bedroom. I was paranoid, checking door locks every 10 minutes, scanning my phone for weird Bluetooth connections. My heart rate, both of them, were spiking at random times, not even from fear, just random. And then I started finding notes, slipped under my door, on sticky notes stuck to my bathroom mirror. One was folded inside a Pop-Tart wrapper I swear I didn't open. They were all written in my handwriting, except I didn't write them. Here's what the first few said. You need more protein. Raw. She saw you at the Walgreens. She thinks you're still you. That's adorable. We have 13 days left until the change. Sleep all you want. Heart 2 is sinking. Please stop resisting. It's embarrassing. Heart 2. That's what it calls itself. I started feeling it more and more. Not just beating, but moving, shifting, like it was growing muscle fibers, wrapping around nerves, learning. And with every blackout, it learned faster. I set up my webcam to monitor me when I passed out. I was expecting to see myself twitch or mutter in my sleep, maybe walk around like a sleepwalker. But the footage I got, I'm still trying to understand what I saw. The video started at 3:14 a.m. I was asleep, face down, arms at my sides. Nothing weird, until the skin on my back started to twitch. Little spasms at first, like bugs crawling just under the surface. Then the twitching turned into pulsing, in rhythm with my secondary heartbeat. And then, I watched myself split down the spine. Just a little. Not like in a surgery. Not clean. More like a seam coming undone. My skin opened. No blood. And something peeked out. Just for a second. It looked like a second spine, but it was wet and shiny, and it blinked like it had an eye. A real one. Just one, nestled inside my back like it was trying to watch the world behind me. And then it slid back inside. The seam closed like nothing had happened. And I sat up, still asleep, still not me. The camera shook for a second, and then the footage cut to black, like it knew it was being watched. I started finding places I didn't remember going to in my Google timeline. I don't drive. My car keys were missing, but the app showed my phone had pinged towers across the city. One was a highway rest stop in Indiana. One was an abandoned nursing home. One was a meat processing plant that got shut down in 2017 for unexplainable biological violations. Yeah, I looked that one up. The report said the inspectors found evidence of animal experimentation, but no animal parts, only human teeth. That's when I noticed the schedule. The thing inside me, it has a routine. It takes control every night at 3:12 a.m. Exact, same minute, every time. And it gives me just enough control back in the morning to clean up the mess. Like it's letting me see what it's doing, like it wants me to know. On July 11th, I woke up with my jaw sore and cracked, like I'd been clenching it for hours. I could barely open my mouth. My throat tasted like charcoal and salt. There was a note taped to my chest, just 2 words. You screamed. I finally told Luke. I broke down and called him after 6 days of isolation. I just needed to hear someone say I was crazy. I needed someone to laugh at me, tell me I was overthinking it, that I'd just had a psychotic break, or was sleep deprived. But Luke didn't laugh. He sounded off, quiet, shaky. He said, "You came to my house last night. At 3:15, you asked if I had a basement. You said you needed a cool place to shed. Then you tried to give me your phone and said, 'Watch this. It's almost time.'" He hung up, blocked me. I haven't heard from him since. That night, I made the dumbest decision of my life. I set up every camera I had, webcams, phones, even a GoPro I bought years ago. I pointed them all at my bed. I locked my door. I took melatonin, NyQuil, everything I could to knock myself out. I wanted to catch it in the act. I wanted to finally see what this thing does when I'm gone. I regret that decision more than anything I've ever done, because I didn't wake up in my bed. I woke up in the freezer at the back of a KFC 2 towns over, covered in feathers, wearing someone else's face over mine. Not a mask, not plastic, a peeled face, human, sewn to mine with black thread. I couldn't scream. The lips weren't mine. There were boxes of chicken on the floor, all opened. The meat was gone. In its place were bones, long bones, not chicken. I ran barefoot through a back alley, wearing a face that wasn't mine, bleeding from the mouth, and my second heartbeat just laughed. I could feel it in my bones. It was happy. I don't leave my house anymore. I stopped looking in mirrors, but 2 nights ago, I got a knock at the door. It was me. I opened the door and saw myself standing there. Same hoodie, same jawline, same scars, but his eyes were solid black, not horror movie CGI black, just empty, like pupils that never stopped dilating. He held out a USB stick and said in my voice, "You're going to want to see what happened last night." Then he turned and walked into the woods behind my house. I checked the USB. It had one file, a video of me, sitting at a diner, smiling. Across the table, a girl, maybe 16. She looked nervous, scared. The audio was glitched, but one part was clear. I leaned forward and whispered, "Your brother was my first. You'll be better." He kept trying to pray. There's more. I haven't even told you what I found in the bathtub, or what's been growing under my fingernails, or how I got a message from Phantom Musk yesterday that just said, "Second heart fully synced. You are now eligible for phase 2. Congratulations. Welcome to the Harvester class." I don't know what that means, but I don't think I'm the only one. I think the K9X serum, it wasn't for strength, it was for replacement. They're not making people stronger, they're making new people out of us. I have video proof. I'm uploading it to multiple drives. I don't know how much time I have left before it takes over completely. I think Heart 2 is learning how to dream, and I think when it does, I won't be allowed to wake up again. There's a storage unit in Milwaukee that wasn't mine, but the key was in my pocket. I woke up 2 nights ago with mud under my nails and a bus receipt in my hoodie. I haven't taken a bus in years. I don't even go outside after dark anymore. But there it was. Milwaukee, Interstate 94, Bay 13, Unit number 3, 326. No name, no information, just a single key. Heavy, old, burned numbers on the side, and a note. Just one sentence, in handwriting that wasn't quite mine. The skin remembers. I drove there. Middle of the night. Rain hammering the windshield like it wanted in. The place looked abandoned. Rusted gates. CCTV cameras twisted up like they'd tried to escape. I had to squeeze through a gap in the fence. Tore my shirt open on the way in. The air smelled like burnt tires and wet copper. When I reached Unit 3326, I didn't expect it to recognize me. The light above it flickered to life. The keypad blinked green. The lock was already off. When I opened it, the smell hit first. Like rotten paper, sweat, and bleach. Inside was just a desk. A metal one. Dent-riddled, bolted to the floor. One folding chair, a mini fridge, and an old Lenovo laptop, still running. No login. Just open to a desktop with one folder. Harvest reports, K9X tier, 3/class 2/synced hosts. I clicked it. The screen glitched black, then opened to a spreadsheet. Rows, names, faces, locations, dates of first sync. Some of them had status notes. Active, host unaware. Active, phase 2 candidate. And then one column at the end. Final harvest YN. Almost all of them said Y. I scrolled until I saw my name. There it was. Redacted. Host number 0022239. Tier 3. Status. Phase 2 eligible. Final harvest. Scheduled July 30th, 3:33 a.m. That's 4 days from now. But that's not the worst part. There was a link next to my name. View host footage. I clicked it. And the video opened to me, dragging a body across a floor I didn't recognize. It was a hospital hallway, but no lights. Just emergency exit signs pulsing red. My face was split with this wide, unnatural grin. My spine looked too long. My shadow didn't match the way I moved. I dragged something behind me, wrapped in a blood-soaked sheet. The camera followed, like a drone. No sound. I watched myself rip open a door labeled Obstetrics, Newborn Ward. I don't think I can explain what I did next without feeling sick. I laid the body down. It was a nurse. Her eyes were gone. Her mouth was sewn shut with dental wire. I reached into my own throat, not my mouth, my throat, and pulled out a needle. Long, bone, still wet. I injected the nurse's body with something black, not liquid, not smoke, something that pulsed, like it was alive. She woke up, not gasping, not confused, smiling, like she'd been waiting. Then I walked to the nursery. Cribs line the walls. The video ends right as I reach for a baby, and that's when I smashed the laptop. I don't know if I did that, or if Heart 2 made me, but the monitor cracked. Sparks flew. The whole storage unit went dark. Then my phone vibrated in my pocket. A single notification. Your harvest window has been updated. New date, July 27th. Tomorrow, 3:33 a.m. I barely made it home. I couldn't think straight. I kept seeing double, not just vision, but in my mind, like two memories playing at once. I remembered being a kid, fishing with my dad, but layered over that, me standing naked in front of a meat locker covered in tattoos I don't have, holding a rib cage like it was a bouquet. When I walked into my house, the lights were already on. I never left them on, and the TV was playing a live stream. My room. Again. Except now, there were dozens of people watching, comments flying down the screen. Host 0022239 entering twilight phase. Love this model. The skin peels beautifully. Schedule a merge test. Last sync was too clean. Suspected awareness. I pulled the plug on the TV, but the audio didn't stop. I could still hear the heartbeat. Not mine. The second one. Faster now. Louder. Like it was excited. That night I checked my chest again. Not out of curiosity. Out of necessity. I had to see. There's something under my ribs now. Growing. Not muscle. Not fat. Ridges. Bone plates. Like armor. But inside. My veins are dark purple. Not red. And when I coughed, I hacked up a single tooth. Not mine. I checked the mirror. My reflection didn't wave this time. It just started mouthing a phrase. Over and over. I couldn't hear it, but I could feel it. They eat the ones with hope. I found something else on my phone, buried deep in the files. A folder called Dreams. It wasn't photos. It was a map of my neighborhood, every house, and little tags on certain ones. Unharvested twins, soft tissue still forming, caretaker alone, spine type B, 2 compatible, dog present, bypass. They weren't dreaming. Heart 2 was planning. I think. It's going door to door. I tried warning people. I sent the files to a burner Reddit. I uploaded the footage to 3 Discords. Every single one got deleted within minutes. The accounts vanished. Even the IPs were blocked. Then I got an email. Subject: You were warned not to sleep. Inside was a single .wav file. I played it. It was me, laughing, over the sound of bones breaking. I can't tell if what's happening to me is supernatural, or scientific, or something in between. All I know is, I'm not the only one. I found a subreddit that was only up for 9 minutes before being nuked. R. Second heart syndrome. The posts were terrifying. Photos of people with identical symptoms, veins turning black, waking up in unknown places, seeing their reflection move independently. Some had made it farther than me. Some were already in phase 3. That's when the host becomes a sheather. You don't get blackouts anymore. You get locked in, conscious but paralyzed, while something else drives. Tomorrow is my final harvest. And here's the worst part. I don't want to stop it. Part of me wants to let it happen. I feel stronger. I don't get tired. I don't feel pain anymore. Food doesn't matter. Sleep means nothing. I saw a squirrel get hit by a car yesterday, and I laughed. Loud. Like it was a joke only I could hear. Heart 2 is in control now, and it's cracking my brain open like an egg. One more night. One more blackout. And I don't think I'll wake up again. If anyone reads this, and you've taken K9X, or you feel something beating off rhythm in your chest, don't just wait. Don't try to fight it. Because once it starts dreaming, you start rotting from the inside out. 3:32 a.m. The final minute. The final harvest. I should be screaming. I should be begging for someone to stop this. But I'm not. I'm sitting in my room, still and silent, watching my fingers type this without me. I can feel the bones in my hands shifting. They aren't breaking. They're rearranging, like a puzzle being solved backward. My nails are retracting, curling into the skin like claws hiding under bedsheets. I can hear the cartilage in my ears softening, like wax melting in a microwave. I tried to scream earlier. I couldn't open my mouth. Something has woven the inside of my cheeks shut. I've become the passenger. Let me rewind 12 hours. It's important you understand how this ends, how I end. I knew tonight was the final harvest. I could feel it. My chest was too tight. The second heartbeat had gotten so loud, it was overriding the first. You ever hear your own heart thudding through your jaw, like a clock under your skin? It's rhythmic, hypnotic. It makes you want to stop resisting. At 3 p.m., the last message came through. No number. Just a red screen flash on my phone. Pre-integration complete. Host. Redacted. Sync. 100%. Conscious override. On emotion filter. Enabled behavioral mirroring. Disabled. Begin final. Host shed protocol at 3:33 a.m. Then it added, manual override not permitted. Enjoy the rebirth. At 4 p.m., I vomited up a spoon. Not a plastic one, not a silver one. A charred cafeteria spoon with the name Welton Reformatory etched into it. I don't know what that is. I've never been there, but Hot 2 had. At 7 p.m., I found hair in my sink drain. Not mine, not even human. Thin, transparent, like the silk of a spider that never needed to spin a web. And at 10 p.m., the lights in my house all dimmed at once. Then the humming started. Not electric, not mechanical, organic, like something was stretching in the walls. Waking up, I tried one last thing. I took a kitchen knife, heated it until it glowed. I plunged it into my side, right over where I felt heart 2 beating. I expected blood. Instead, ink. Thick, black, pressurized ink sprayed out, like from a deep-sea creature. It hissed when it hit the floor. Sizzled. The knife didn't even sink all the way in. Something under the skin caught it. Something hard, like armor, like a carapace, like I wasn't built soft anymore. 1:13 a.m. I went into my basement. That was the first mistake. There was a smell coming from behind the dryer. I pulled it away. There was a hole in the foundation. Not natural. Chiseled. A perfect oval, about 5 feet tall. It vibrated. My fillings rang when I stood near it. I crouched, looked in, and I saw me. But I wasn't blinking. I wasn't even alive. It was my body, perfectly preserved, but empty, like someone had taken everything out of it and left only the shell, a backup, a skin suit, and behind it, in the darkness, something moved. It didn't have a shape, just motion, like the idea of movement took on flesh. It reached toward me, slowly, like it was inviting me home. I slammed the dryer back, bolted up the stairs, but I already knew. That's where Heart 2 came from, someplace beneath, someplace older than the body it's growing into. 2:56 a.m. I blacked out, but this time I felt it while it was happening. Not instant, gradual, like drowning in molasses. My limbs stopped listening, my jaw locked, my skin tightened like it was preparing to burst. My eyes rolled back, but I could still see, not through them, through the second set, the internal ones, and they were looking straight through my chest, at you. And now it's 3:33 a.m. I am not the one typing this. You are reading the words of something that has warmed me like a raincoat for 13 days. It has fed through me, traveled through the blood vessels, downloaded my memories, laughed at my dreams, turned every bone in my body into keys on a piano that only it knows how to play. You want to know the truth? There never were steroids. K9X, wasn't about muscle. It wasn't even about strength. It was a delivery system for a species that doesn't need space, that doesn't travel with ships, that doesn't invade from the sky. It grows in us. Because what better way to replace a species than from the inside out? You thought you were safe because you didn't order it. That's cute. The truth is, you were never given a choice. You've already been marked. Anyone who's seen the K9X listing, anyone who's heard the heartbeat through a live stream, anyone who's opened the files, it's too late. You've already invited it in. The ink is in your dreams. The second rhythm is finding your bones. And soon, you'll feel that first twitch, that offbeat pulse behind your ribs. And when it comes, don't fight it. It wants you to see what it sees. And when you finally stop screaming, that's when the real work begins. This story wasn't a warning. It was a trigger. Congratulations. Welcome to Harvest. Your second heart is now forming. I found dark web circus that caused my little sister's life. She's all day sitting in the basement saying, "The little lion won't let me leave." Hey Reddit, I made this burner account because I honestly don't know where else to talk about this. My main got flagged after I posted a short version of this in a random Discord server, and a few creepy usernames started following me across my other socials. I haven't posted anything since, but this story, it's real, and it's been eating away at me for over a year. I lost my little sister because of this, and the worst part, she's not dead. Not technically. She's alive, breathing, but something's wrong with her. And it all started when I clicked a damn link I should have never touched. Let me back up a bit. So last summer, I was working night shifts at this dead-end convenience store near downtown Pittsburgh. You know the kind. Flickering lights, stale hot dogs rolling in eternal circles, and maybe 5 customers after midnight. 4 of them weirdos and 1 just high. I was bored constantly, so I started watching horror videos on YouTube to kill time. The algorithm eventually led me to those animated horror stories. Channels like Here's My Story, Mr. Nightmare, and Wani Tokyo. I loved that stuff. It gave me something to focus on during the 2 a.m. slump. One night, a video popped up in my recommended. It had no title, just a string of corrupted text and an old-timey circus poster as the thumbnail. The kind that looks like it's from the 1940s. I clicked on it. Mistake number 1. The video opened with a low, broken calliope tune, like the kind you'd hear at an old carnival, but it was wrong. Glitchy. Off-key. The screen flickered with fast cuts of what looked like a grainy circus tent in the middle of the woods. Inside, there were mannequins in children's clothes, just sitting in the stands. Then the camera focused on the ringmaster, except his head was pixelated and his body twitched like a broken video game character. At the bottom of the screen, it said, "Click for a private invite. The lion's lair is always hungry." I'll admit, I was half laughing, thinking it was one of those args people make for clout. I even Googled it. Nothing. No subreddit. No videos referencing it. Just an old forum on a Russian server that said, "Do not engage with Lion's Lair. It feeds on attention." Again, I laughed. I figured it was a deep web roleplay thing or some dumb SCP-style project. The link in the description was hidden under white text, so you had to highlight it to see it. It just said, lionslair.net/welcome, mistake number 2. I clicked it. The site looked like it was built in the 90s. Gray background, red Comic Sans font, and a single grainy image of a circus tent in a foggy field. Underneath, a loading spinner and a message. Welcome, guest 44,119. We've been waiting. After about 10 seconds, the site flashed a list of events, but the names were weird. The Puppeteers Parade, Clown Surgery, Limited Seating, Feeding Time, Little Lion's Pen, 18 plus. I figured it was a hoax, but the video player at the bottom was active, so I clicked on the one called Feeding Time. It asked me for my camera permissions. Yeah, it asked for my camera. For some ungodly reason, I clicked Allow. I don't even remember doing it consciously, like I was just watching it happen. The screen went black, then static. Then I saw myself, on the screen, my own webcam, feeding back at me. But in the background of the video, something was off. There was a reflection behind me, in the dark store window. A lion, but not a real one. It looked animatronic, like the Chuck E. Cheese kind, but older, rusty. Its eyes were glowing red, and its jaw kept clicking like it was stuck in a loop. I turned around. Nothing there. When I looked back at the screen, the lion was closer. Then the stream crashed. I immediately shut everything down, deleted my cache, blocked the site, turned off the lights, and just sat there, listening to the buzz of the fridge, telling myself it was a prank. When I got home that morning, I didn't tell anyone. Just figured I'd forget about it. But later that week, my little sister, Emily, started acting weird. She was 9, super smart for her age, big into Roblox, TikTok slime videos, and pretending our cat Mr. Pickles was a spy. But she stopped talking, completely. We thought maybe she was sick or upset, but then we found her downstairs, in the basement, just sitting there, all day. When I asked her what she was doing, she just looked up at me, tilted her head slightly, and whispered, "The little lion won't let me leave." I laughed, thought she was messing with me. I even filmed it on my phone, thinking she was playing some creepy internet game she saw. I asked, "What lion, Em?" She just blinked. He came through the screen. Now he lives in the walls. That night, our cat disappeared. Look, I know this sounds like every TikTok horror story you've heard, but I swear this is real. The basement lights started flickering at random. Emily wouldn't eat, wouldn't come upstairs. I started sleeping on the couch because I was too freaked out to be alone in my room. One night, around 3 a.m., I was scrolling through Instagram Reels half asleep when I got a DM from a burner account with no profile pic. It said, "The lion feeds through eyes. Yours are next." I blocked them, but the same message showed up on Twitter, then Discord, then TikTok, always from a different account. That was the last night I slept, because the next morning, Emily wasn't in the basement anymore. She was in my closet, smiling, covered in red Sharpie symbols that looked like lion claws. She said, "He likes when you watch." So I made him a new tent. I didn't sleep after that night. Not because I didn't want to. I physically couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd see her smile. Not a normal smile, a painted-on one, like someone had stretched her lips too far, and she didn't know how to stop. Emily had never drawn on herself before, but that morning, she was sitting crisscross on my bedroom floor, completely silent, her skin marked in claw-like red symbols that I know weren't part of any children's game. I know Sharpie. I used Sharpie. These weren't doodles, they were rituals. Our mom was at her weekend shift at Starbucks, so I was the only one home with her. I tried scrubbing the marks off with a wet towel, but she didn't even flinch. She just kept whispering under her breath, over and over again, "He doesn't like it when you scrub." That's when I noticed the sound. At first, I thought it was the boiler, some low, rhythmic churning coming from the basement. But when I stood at the top of the stairs, I heard something that made my stomach drop into my legs. Squeaking. Not pipes. Not rats. Something big. Moving. Shuffling. Dragging. And the sound of metal creaking like hinges on something being slowly, painfully forced open. Like a circus tent door. I went down there. I don't know why. Curiosity is stupid like that. And fear doesn't always stop you. It pulls you closer when you should run. The basement was darker than it had ever been, like the shadows had weight. And in the far corner, where we kept the old Christmas boxes, my dad's tools, and the broken treadmill, something had changed. There was fabric. Strung up between the wall beams were strips of red and white cloth, ragged and stained, hanging like carnival tent flaps. I stepped closer. The floor was damp and sticky. At the center of the makeshift tent was a circle of stuffed animals, ripped, headless, some with buttons gouged out where eyes used to be, surrounding a cardboard box spray-painted black. On top of it was an old CRT TV, unplugged. It was on. No wires, no static. Just a looped, grainy video of a lion pacing back and forth inside a cage. Except it wasn't in a cage. It was walking in a field made of teeth. Thousands of teeth. Lined like grass. Human molars and canines. All stuck upright in the dirt. My hands were shaking. The sound was back. That broken Calliope circus tune. But it wasn't just music. It had words underneath it. A voice. Muffled. Reversed. I recorded it. Later I reversed the audio. I shouldn't have. The voice said, "He who watches must feed. He who listens must obey. He who enters stays." I turned to run, but something brushed my ankle. Emily. She was under the table now, lying flat on her stomach, eyes wide open, mouth slack, her voice low and calm. "You already gave him the key." She wasn't talking to me. She was talking to something behind me. I turned around. There was nothing there, but the tent flaps swayed. No draft, no fan, no movement. They swayed like something had just walked through them. That night, the sounds got louder. Not just the basement anymore. The walls, the attic, the vents. I was in my room trying to sleep with noise-canceling headphones, but my Spotify stopped playing. My phone screen glitched, then went black. And then, even through the headphones, I heard it. A low growl, mechanical, glitchy, like a corrupted audio file trying to imitate a lion. Gurks, gurks, grrr. I froze. My closet door creaked open by itself. I didn't move. I couldn't. And then I heard Emily's voice, not from her room, from behind me, inside the closet. She whispered, "He's building the circus now." I turned, heart thumping in my ears, and saw her just standing there in the dark. No expression. Eyes rolled back. She opened her mouth, but it wasn't her voice. It was the ringmaster's voice from the video. "Come one, come all. The show begins when your soul begins to rot." The next morning, Mom called the school and told them Emily was sick. I begged her to take her to the hospital. A priest. Anything. But Emily started screaming every time we got near the front door. She said the lion was waiting outside, that if we left, he'd follow us into the real world. We tried anyway. Mom carried her, kicking and flailing, to the car. When we turned the ignition, Every radio station, every single one, played the same circus music. Emily vomited black sludge into the back seat. That was the last time Mom spoke about doctors. A week later, Emily stopped eating. She didn't need to. She said, "The lion feeds for me now." I checked her room one night and saw her curled up on the mattress, whispering to the wall. Scratched into the plaster were the words, "I see the meat. I see the tent. I see you watching." She began drawing maps, in crayon, pages and pages of spirals and gates and cages filled with stick figures. I saw one that had my face drawn on it, half eaten. Another had Mom's eyes crossed out. Then came the laughter. Emily laughed for 6 straight hours one night, non-stop, no blinking, no expression, just laughter. I recorded it, uploaded the clip privately to YouTube to show a friend. Within seconds, I got a comment from an account with the profile name, ringmaster.rv. The comment said, "You're next in the line, little brother. The lion loves a bigger meal." I deleted the video, deleted the account, but it didn't matter. That night, I woke up with claw marks down my chest. My phone turned on by itself and showed me a blurry image of my own face, taken from the foot of my bed. I sleep alone. Then came the day the tent reached the hallway. Yes, it grew. Ripped red and white fabric started appearing over the door frames. Emily had built ticket booths out of cereal boxes. Stuffed animals were nailed to the walls like grotesque mascots. Every day I'd tear it down. Every day it would be back by morning. Sometimes worse. One morning, the family dog was in the center of the hallway, dead. His body splayed open. No blood, no wounds, just emptied, like someone scooped his insides out. And inside his chest cavity was a ticket. It said, "Admit 1, Seat 3, A, Family Feast Night." I didn't tell Mom. She wouldn't have believed me. I buried the dog in the backyard and threw up 6 times. I started seeing the lion in reflections, store windows, car mirrors, even on FaceTime calls. Its face was human now, or used to be. Lips too wide, eyes stitched open, teeth like knives jammed into wet gums. The mane looked like it was made of hair ripped from other people. It stared without blinking and smiled. Every time I saw it, I got a new message. Email, DM, even Snapchats from unknown usernames. Always the same thing. He watches through the wire. He waits in the walls. Then, the final straw. I came home from work early. The whole house was quiet. Emily wasn't in the basement. She wasn't in her room. I found her in our mother's bedroom, sitting on the bed, wearing one of Mom's dresses, her face painted white, red circles on her cheeks, black eyeliner around her lips like a clown. And Mom, she was sitting next to her, naked from the waist up, her eyes open, mouth sewn shut. She wasn't breathing. Emily turned to me, giggled, and said, "She didn't laugh. The lion hates when you don't laugh." There was no blood, just a faint trail of glitter and white powder on the floor, like stage makeup. I screamed. I ran. I didn't stop until I was 4 blocks away. The police came. They took Emily, took my mom's body, said it was a mental break, and that Emily must have been mimicking something she saw online. They don't understand. This isn't mental illness. This is a possession, or something worse. Emily is still alive, in a facility now, but she won't stop whispering about the lion. She still says, "He's not finished building the circus. He still needs you." And last night, I got an envelope under my door. No return address, no stamp. Inside was a ticket, same as the one in the dog's chest. Admit 1, Ringmaster's final show. There was a note scribbled on the back. We saved you a seat. Front row. Don't watch the video. Don't click the link. Don't answer the DMS. You have no idea what you're letting in. There are some things you can't unsee. Some sounds that get inside your head and start living there. Some smells that follow you, even after 5 showers and 2 changes of clothes. The envelope smelled like copper and burned hair. That was the first thing I noticed when I picked it up from the floor. It was sealed with wax, deep red, pressed with a strange emblem, a lion's mouth wide open with a carousel spinning inside its throat, a merry-go-round of bones. I hadn't told anyone where I was staying. After what happened to Mom, I packed a duffel and went full ghost. I slept in an abandoned movie theater for 3 nights and paid a guy on Craigslist to let me crash in his empty Airbnb with no questions asked. But someone knew. He knew. Inside the envelope was that same damn circus ticket, thicker than the last ones, embossed, glossy finish, like something that wanted to be touched. At the bottom, in small gold letters, it read, "One way only, non-transferable, payment required." On the back, a map, but it wasn't a normal map. It was of a city that didn't exist, buildings made of teeth, rivers labeled with numbers instead of names, and in the center, a giant tent, labeled, "The Lion's Mouth, do not enter before midnight." I should have burned it, ripped it up, flushed it, but I didn't. Something about it pulled, like gravity, like when you stand at the edge of a tall building and your brain whispers how easy it would be to jump. That night, I heard my name, not shouted, whispered, in my own voice, from inside the walls. The lights in the Airbnb flickered, then the power died completely, and then the carousel music, again. But this time, it was layered. Voices underneath, screaming, children's laughter that turned into wailing, the sound of bones cracking. I put my hands over my ears. I could still hear it. I looked out the window. Across the street, on the sidewalk, was a man. Except it wasn't a man. He wore a top hat, striped red and white jacket, but his limbs were wrong, bent in too many places, arms too long, head cocked at an unnatural angle, like he had no spine, and his face, I swear to you, it was a mirror, a flat piece of reflective glass, bolted into a flesh-colored skull with rusted nails. When I moved, he moved. When I raised my hand, he raised his. My reflection smiled. I didn't. He took 1 step forward, then another. I blinked. He was gone. I called the police. They told me to get some rest. I tried to sleep, but the mirror above the sink kept vibrating. I took it off the wall and threw it out the window. The next morning, it was back. Not just back, cleaner, polished, and on the bottom corner, written in condensation, "See you tonight. Wear red." I couldn't take it anymore. I booked a train ticket, no destination in mind, just away. When I got to the station, the screen glitched. My train, every train, flashed the same message for 3 seconds before returning to normal. I still remember it perfectly. "You are already on board. The lion is in control." The lady at the counter smiled at me like everything was fine, but her eyes were bleeding. Tiny rivulets of red dripping from the corners of both eyes, like she'd been crying blood all day but didn't notice. When I pointed it out, she leaned in and whispered, "You don't want to be late. They're expecting you." I ran through the station, past the Starbucks, past the pretzel stand, until I saw it. The tent, right in the middle of the city. Not a hallucination, not a vision. A real circus tent, towering over the skyscrapers, flapping in a wind I couldn't feel. No one else seemed to notice. People walked right by it, through it, into it, except their eyes were hollow. Literally. No pupils, no whites, just deep black holes. They walked in smiling. They never came out. I followed. I know. I was an idiot. But there's a point where curiosity isn't just curiosity. It's survival. I had to know what it wanted. Why Emily was chosen. Why me? The moment I stepped through the flaps, the air changed. Warm. Wet. Smelled like rotten meat and cotton candy. There was no floor. Just flesh. A pulsing, living carpet of something organic. It squished beneath my shoes, oozing a yellowish fluid that smelled like ammonia and copper. Around me, stands made of bone. And the audience wasn't human. Not anymore. Some still had human shapes, but their jaws were broken wide, hanging like unhinged snakes. Others had no skin, just wet red muscle, clapping with exposed fingers. In the center ring, there was a stage, and hanging above it, my sister, tied upside down with ropes made of hair, her eyes gouged out, but smiling, and she laughed when she saw me. "You came," she screamed. "You got your ticket." I ran to her, tried to climb up, but the ringmaster stepped out. Not the one from the video. This one was real. Massive. 10 feet tall. Skin like paper stretched too tight. His face was a mess of animal and man, stitched and reshaped like some Frankenstein taxidermy project. His teeth never stopped grinding. He spoke without opening his mouth. The final act must be witnessed. The brother must watch. The lights dimmed, and the lion emerged. It didn't walk. It slid, like it was being puppeteered by invisible strings. Its mane was made of spinal cords. Its eyes were bleeding, and its mouth was full of screaming human heads, all fused together. Each one looked like someone I knew. Teachers, friends, Mom. I screamed until my voice cracked. Emily just kept laughing. The lion reared up. Its ribcage opened like jaws. Inside was a circus audience, all cheering, heads upside down, clapping with hands where their mouths should be. The lion lunged toward my sister. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't move. Hands, human hands, rose from the fleshy ground and held me down. I watched as the lion swallowed Emily whole. No blood, no crunch, just swallowed, like she turned to vapor. Her laughter echoed from inside its belly. Then it looked at me, the lion, the ringmaster, the crowd. They all said in unison, "Next act, the brother's burden." I blacked out. When I woke up, I was on a bus bench in the middle of New Jersey, naked, shivering. The tent was gone. No one believed me. They said Emily's body was never found. They blamed me, said I was having a psychotic break. But I know what I saw. Because last night, I checked my phone. There's a new app installed, one I didn't download. It has no icon, no name, just a red ticket. When I opened it, a message flashed. "You are now a performer. Your act begins soon." And now, I see people watching me. On buses, in stores, at McDonald's. They don't blink. They don't breathe. They smile too wide. Sometimes I wake up with red and white paint on my fingers. One time, I found a piece of string in my throat. Hair. And every mirror in my house has started to show. An audience. Laughing. Waiting. If you've ever received a circus ticket in the mail, don't touch it. Don't open the app. Don't watch the performance. Because the next act is yours. You ever feel like your soul's rotting from the inside out? Like there's something inside you, something gnawing at your brain like a dog on a bone, scratching, clawing, waiting for the moment your sanity finally caves, because that's what it feels like now. Every breath I take tastes like cotton candy soaked in iron. My tongue's been bleeding for days, and I don't know why. I wake up every morning with a mouth full of string, red and white, like I'm coughing up the tent. I haven't spoken to another human being in 9 days. Not really. I see people, yeah, in Starbucks lines, grocery stores, Uber drivers, but none of them react. They just stare, like I'm some kind of exhibit, like I'm already part of the show. And you know what's worse? I think they're laughing at me, but not with their mouths, with their eyes. The app on my phone keeps updating. It doesn't show up on the App Store, doesn't let me delete it. It's just there, pulsing like a living wound, waiting for me to open it. And every time I do, the interface looks more real, more detailed. At first, it was just that red ticket. But now it shows a stage, a real one, built of rotten teeth and split fingers for curtain ropes. My face is in the center. Underneath, a schedule, a CT4, Revelation, July 26th, 3 a.m. That's tonight. That's soon. Last night I broke every mirror in the apartment. Didn't matter. They're still there. The reflections, the audience. They clap when I cry. They cheer when I bleed. I cut my arm open, trying to dig out what I thought was a splinter. But it wasn't wood. It was a tooth, a molar, with a tiny number etched into the side. 3A. Same seat number from the earlier ticket. I threw it into the sink and watched it twitch before sliding down the drain. The walls are changing. They're soft now, like the flesh of a fruit that's been left to rot in the sun. When I press my ear to the plaster, I can hear the crowd on the other side. Their breathing, their laughter, their muffled chants. And sometimes I hear Emily's voice, still echoing, still cheerful, saying things like, "Smile wider, the lion's watching. Your mask is slipping. They won't clap if you scream too soon. She's not dead. Not really. She's somewhere else now, and she wants me to join. Today, I got mail. Physical, not digital. No stamp, no return address, just a box. When I opened it, I vomited immediately. The smell hit me like a freight train. Inside was a VHS tape and something wrapped in wet paper. I shouldn't have opened it. I shouldn't have. It was an eyeball, still wet, still twitching. A child's, blue iris, tiny lashes. Taped to it was a post-it note that said, "A preview of your next act. Give 'em a show." I snapped. I screamed until my throat tore, punched holes in the wall until my knuckles split open. But the moment I stopped, the tape started playing, by itself. My old TV, unplugged, screen black, then flickering, then the circus. Not a circus, the circus, inside the tent. A crowd of eyeless children, all wearing masks made of human skin, clapping in perfect unison. The ringmaster walked into the frame, dragging something by the hair. It was me, but not me. This version of me had no face, just a wide, endless smile, carved from ear to ear. And he danced, stumbled, twitched, twirled on splintered toes, like a marionette, while the crowd howled with laughter. When the dance ended, they ripped him apart, limb by limb, like it was part of the script, like it was entertainment. The last thing I saw before the screen cut to black was a close-up of my faceless corpse, and a single whisper through the static. Dress rehearsal complete. Showtime begins at 3 a.m. So, now I sit here, waiting, bleeding, laughing, crying. Every clock in the apartment froze at 2:59 a.m. I've been trapped in this minute for hours. Every time I blink, the tent gets closer. It's in the corner of the room now, growing from the shadows like fungus. I can smell the popcorn. I can hear the claws scratching across the floor. The lion is coming. No, the lion is already here. He lives behind the eyes. There's a knock at the door. 3 knocks. Software deliberate. I don't answer. I don't breathe. I don't move. Another knock. This time, on the inside of the wall. And a voice, high-pitched, giggles. It's Emily. She whispers, "They saved you the spotlight. It's your turn to bleed for the crowd." I can feel them now, crawling up through the cracks in the floor. Hands, claws, limbs made of makeup and hair and piano wire. They're wrapping around my ankles, my wrists. The TV turns on again. There's no video, just red text flashing. "Welcome to the grand finale. Your audience awaits." My phone vibrates one last time. I look. The app opens by itself. Streaming live to 144,400 viewers. "You are now performing." I try to scream, but they've sewn my mouth shut. They always do, because it's funnier when the clown can't scream. They shove me toward the stage. My bones pop. My teeth fall out one by one. They replace them with tickets. One for each viewer. One for each seat. My eyes melt, but I still see. I still hear the applause. They chant in unison. "Dance, monkey. Cry, clown. Smile, freak. Bleed." I'm bleeding. I'm smiling. I'm dancing. And I can feel Emily clapping from the other side of the tent. She whispers one final time, "Now you're part of the show. Forever." If you've watched the show, if you've clicked the link, if your mirrors feel wrong, it's already too late. He's coming for your seat. Time stopped making sense days ago. Or maybe hours ago. Maybe it's still 3 a.m. Maybe it always will be. There are no clocks anymore. Just the sound of the audience breathing. I'm not in my apartment. I haven't been for a while. I don't know how long it's been since they pulled me into the tent, but I can still feel the carpet of flesh beneath my feet. Still feel the sweat of 1,000 forgotten souls soaking the air. The worst part, I'm starting to like the smell. They don't clap anymore, not like before. Number. Now they watch, silent, waiting, hungry. Every time I try to stop performing, I get shocked. Not electricity, not pain like that. It's like needles of memory shoved directly into my skull. They show me things no person should see. A man flayed open and sewn into a carousel horse. A girl eating her reflection until her jaw unhinges. A family of 4 stapled together into a single flesh puppet that walks and sings lullabies through shredded vocal cords. They show me my future. They show me what I am becoming. I don't cry anymore. They took my eyes, replaced them with glass marbles filled with screaming faces. Every time I blink, I see another person join the show. One of them looked like you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break the 4th wall. But that's the trick, isn't it? There is no 4th wall. You're not just reading this, you're watching. Every second you look at these words, the tent spreads further. It's a living thing. It feeds on attention. The more you read, the more it grows. Thread by thread, flap by flap, claw by claw. I found the backstage once. Not supposed to. They screamed when I entered. Not the guards. The walls. They begged me to leave. With tongues. Human tongues stitched into the drywall. Whispering, "No, no, 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 no," on a loop. I walked down the corridor. Lights flickering. Carpet squelching underfoot. The makeup room was filled with children's heads floating in jars. Their mouths still moving. Chanting. Paint the smile, paint the smile, paint the smile. The wardrobe room was a chamber of skin, literal human hides, dried and bleached, hung like coats, each tagged with a name. Mine was already there, still wet, still breathing. They caught me, dragged me back with fishhooks through my calves. No one escapes backstage. As punishment, they made me sit in the cage, the lion's cage. And that's when I saw him again. Not the animatronic thing, not the fake lion from the video, the real one. It doesn't roar, doesn't growl, doesn't speak. It whispers, right into your thoughts, right into your teeth. He told me what I already knew, that the circus never ends. It only moves, from place to place, from person to person, from thought to screen to flesh, to you. It spreads like infection, like rot, like truth. They put me back on stage, but something's changed now. I don't dance anymore. I perform. They handed me the microphone, and it was pulsing, alive, covered in veins. The audience leaned forward, their hollow sockets hungry, and I spoke. Not words, not language, sounds, screams backwards, names I didn't know I knew. Each one peeled the skin off another part of my past. Each one made the tent swell, and then I saw them add me to the poster, the digital flyer. You know the one. You might have seen it online, maybe in a Facebook ad that vanished, maybe in an Instagram story that played for half a second. Maybe it appeared in your dream. Tonight only, The Brothers Burden, featuring a special appearance by the Little Lion. Beneath it, location, your town, your screen, your nightmare. I found Emily again, or what's left of her. She's the ticket taker now. No face, no fingers, just that laugh, that voice. She handed me one last stub, printed on skin. Act 5, exit wounds. I asked her, "Can I leave now?" She said, "No one leaves, but some get removed." Then she giggled, coughed up glitter, and disappeared into the tent flap. They say if you survive 5 acts, you earn the exit. Not freedom, not release. Just the door, a black door, with no knob, covered in scratches, covered in blood, covered in words carved by hundreds of fingernails, all of them the same word, over and over and over, don't. But I had no choice. I opened it. I saw everything. I saw behind the curtain, the true tent, not built on earth, not part of reality, a dimension stitched together with screams, a world shaped like a ring, a circus ring, with galaxies watching from the bleachers. I saw gods with balloon heads and jaws made of trumpets. I saw children with carousel torsos spinning forever. I saw performers who had been dancing for eons, legs long gone, replaced by bone stilts and pain. And I saw myself, on every stage, in every act, every version of me, across every reality, stuck in the same show, playing forever, bleeding forever, smiling. There is no exit. There is no ending. Even now, as I write this, the tent grows behind you. You can't see it, not yet. But the laughter is coming, the cotton candy rot, the meat popcorn, the smell of grease paint and regret. You've read all 5 acts, which means your ticket is printed. They already know your name. Your reflection's already been changed. Go look. I dare you. If your mirror smiles when you don't, you've already stepped inside. And now it's your turn to perform. Final note on the back of your ticket. Break a leg, or we'll break it for you.